Happy Sunday Fun Day. Welcome everyone to the #1 Daily Bitcoin Pod. In today's show, I'll be breaking down the latest Bitcoin technical analysis. We'll also be discussing 19 trillion in transactions have been settled on the Bitcoin network in 2024 alone. We'll also be discussing FTX payment plan is now effective, but when exactly will users see their funds? I'll be breaking this down for you. We'll also be discussing Janet Yellen warns of an extraordinary measure incoming as 36 trillion national debt approaches the ceiling. We'll also be discussing MicroStrategy's Sailor posts a Bitcoin tracker hinting at a big Monday purchase of $2 billion. We'll also be discussing the price for one Bitcoin will be $1 million in 2025, and it is possible under this one condition. We'll also be taking a look at the overall crypto market. All this plus so much more in today's show. If you're new to the channel, very important to smash the likes, then hit the bell icon, turn on the notifications, and subscribe. #1 Daily Bitcoin Pod. Today is pod episode 1869. I'm your host, JV. It's January 5th, 2024. Church is in session. I'm going to be preaching the Holy Gospel of Satoshi over the course of the next couple of hours, and we have a lot to share. Let's kick it off with our market watch as we do each and every day. And as you can see, Bitcoin taking a bit of a corrective move, but maintaining above 98.2 at the time of the live. And we have Ether in the green, back on the move, trading above 36 hundo, while Solana, Tron, BNB, and the majority of the alts are correcting and in the red. And checking out coinmarketcap.com. Current crypto market cap sits at 3.49 trillion. Bitcoin market cap 1.943 trillion. We got roughly 82.5 billion of volume for the past 24 hours. Bitcoin dominance took a step back the other day, and it's currently 55.7% with Ether dominance back on the rise, but barely at 12.6%. And checking out top 100 crypto gainers past 24 hours, we have AIOZ up 17%, Move up 13%, and XTC up 8%. Which alts, if any, are you bullish on for the bull? Holla at your boy. And checking out the crypto bubbles, get a visual perspective on the day. Yeah, I'd say like safe to say 90% of the market correcting and in the red. Zooming out on the monthly, very similar story, only more drastic. Rex City correction carnage in the red. And checking out the crypto greed and fear index. Today we're 72 greed, yesterday is 73, last week is 73, and last month is 72 in greed. And checking out the time chain calendar. We have 172,044 blocks until the next halving. We're currently on block height number 877,956. TikTok next block every 10 minutes since the inception of the Genesis block, which we just had the anniversary of a couple of days ago, 16 years in the making. And you currently exchange one fiat monopoly dollar for 1,021 sats. So stack the sats, put down the gats, and let's get it. And welcome everyone join the live stream now for our astrology for the broskies, as we call it. Also be pulling up some of the live charts, and we'll go from there. This headline reads, Bitcoin exchange inflow and miner outflow drop, Bitcoin to reclaim 100 Gs. And we got so close to it just the other day. The total amount of the Bitcoin transferred on the exchanges and the miner outflow, the amount of the Bitcoin sent by the miner exchanges have significantly dropped since November 2024, suggesting reduced selling pressure. And according to CryptoQuant, Bitcoin exchange inflows November 2024 peaked of 98,748 at the Biddy, November 25th, following approximately 2 months of heightened exchange inflow activity. And exchange inflows declined December 2024, but remain significant, with the total number of the Biddy sent to the exchanges ranging from 11,000 to 79,000 coins per day. The reduction in exchange inflow is accompanied by the reduced miner outflow, indicating reduced selling pressure for the Bitcoin miners, who regularly offload their Bitcoin holdings to pay for the operational expenses. Answering some of the questions from earlier, like, JV, why do people ever sell their Bitcoin? There's a prime example. Maybe they're all in on Bitcoin, and to continue the operation, they got to pay for the costs, electricity, such as the miners. Yeah, maybe more ASIC miners, whatever it may be. Maybe they got to pay their taxes. Who knows? But it does obviously cost money to run businesses. Miner outflows have been declining since highs seen in November when the miners secured profits during the Bitcoin historic price rally following the election of Trump. That was November 5th. And data from Crypto Quant shows outflows peak in November 11th when a miner sent 25,000 of the Bitty to the exchanges at a price of approximately 88,000 per coin. Then January 1st of this year, miners sent almost 5,500 Bitcoin to the exchanges, followed by 5,700 Bitcoin January 2nd and 2,100 Jan 3rd, and which was the official Genesis block day, 16-year anniversary since the inception of the Genesis block. Bitcoin needs to beef up the trading volume to rally in January to get to that 110 level, which would send us to price discovery as the current all-time high sitting pretty at 108.3. Quoting the analyst right here, Alex, the market structure remains bullish with no clear signs of being overheated. However, for a strong impulse, we lack sufficient trading volume. Therefore, we are waiting for the market to recover from the holiday season. And tweet from Max Kaiser. In a nutshell, why Bukele is unique. He was told by the World Bank and IMF not to stop the plague of gang homicides because it would collapse the economy and threaten their loan payments. He said, F you. Not only didn't the economy suffer, it took off like a rocket ship to the moon. So respect to Bukele. That's why we practice our Bukele-nomics. Can't wait to be in Bitcoin country in 5 days. Checking out some of the live charts, a little live chart action, Jackson satisfaction for the broskies. And of course, can't forget about the siskies. So here we are, live chart, 1 hour via TradingView, via Coinbase. And we have a red target in play at 110,000. We have a rising wedgie, the only wedgie I approve of. We also have 108.5 target in the green for the bulls. And zooming out from the 1 hour, we take a look at the 4 hour. And the 4 hour says, we're going up forever, Laura. We also have the what is that? 110, yep, 110.4 and 108.5 on the 4 hour chart. Zooming out from there, we go to the 1 day. 1 day chart, lots of price action. We do also have that rising wedgie there, similar price target of 110 and 108. And zooming out from the daily, we check out the weekly, and we do get a weekly close here in a few hours. And happy 420 for the broskies. It's 420 here in Puerto Rico. And as you can see, there's a sexy cup and handle target on your screen, sitting at 124. What month, what time preference of this year of 2025 do you think we hit that 124 target on the weekly chart? I think Q1. It's a lock. Which exact month, I don't really know, but hopefully sooner than later. And zooming out from the weekly, we take a look at the monthly. And the monthly says we're also going up forever, Laura. And we're already forming a nice green candle close for the month of January. We just kicked off Q1 here. Trump is about to take office in less than 3 weeks, virtually 2.5 weeks, or just over 2 weeks. So you already know things are about to change. Gensler, you're fired. Go home and get your shine box. You got a new chairman in town, and his name is the Nippinator. But anyways, next headline reads 19 trillion in transactions were settled on the Bitcoin network just in the year 2024. That's pretty phenomenal. More than $19 trillion worth of transactions settled over the Bitcoin network last year, more than double the $8.7 trillion settled the previous year of 2013. Damn. And reversed in 2 years of declining transaction volume since 2021. According to the data from the vice president of the research at Riot, Bitcoin transaction volume peaked during the 2021 bull market at approximately 47 trillion and sharply declined in 2022 and 2023. As he wrote here, the Bitcoin network finalized more than 19 trillion worth of the Bitcoin transactions in 2024, decisively proving the Bitcoin is both a store of value and a medium of exchange. Thank you, Captain Obvious. Bitcoin had a momentous 2024, you say that again, which included the introduction of the Bitcoin ETF in the US, which officially went live Jan 11th, less than a year ago. And the April 2024 halving event, which we all know is a very bullish catalyst, which only occurs every 4 years. The first one was in 2012, second one 2016, third one 2020, and the fourth one we had in April of 2024 last year. Here's the Bitcoin network transaction volume from 2019 to 2024. You can see in 2019 it was only 3.9 trillion. It doubled in 2020. It massively massively surged in 2021 to 47 trillion, and last year it was only 19 trillion, which is virtually half of what we experienced in 2021. Meanwhile, the Bitcoin hash rate breaks records in early 2025, which is a sign of the times. Typically, the Bitcoin price always follows the hash rate. So as long as we keep reaching new unprecedented all-time highs of price discovery when it comes to the hash, we know the price is likely to follow. The Bitcoin hash rate is the total computing power securing the Bitcoin protocol, which hit a new all-time high of 1,000 exahashes per second. And I believe it's 1,000 quintillion exahashes per second, but we don't need to get so technical, do we? That was on actually January 3rd, which is the anniversary of the Genesis block, 16 years in the making. However, the hash rate quickly fell back to 775 exahashes per second. Data shows from CryptoQuant, US-based Bitcoin mining pools accounted for over 40% of the global hash rate, meaning over 40% of the Bitcoin is mined in the United States. And the country controlling the most computing power of the network continues to be debated. I guess some say China, some say the United States. What are your thoughts there? According to the Miner Mag, the two U.S. mining pools, Foundry USA and Mara Pool, accounted for 38.5% of all the blocks mined last year. Despite the increase of the hashing power, China-based mining pools still control the majority of the hash rate on the Bitcoin network. And that's up for debate, I guess. An accurate gauge of the hash dominance is difficult to establish due to the synonymous and geographically distributed nature of the Bitcoin mining, and that's a good thing. We don't want governments to know exactly every location of where every node is. That wouldn't be a good look. That's like telling the bad guys in Dragon Ball where all the Dragon Balls are located. You just don't do that. They'll summon the dragon and do something evil. Mining pool operators and companies may be headquartered within the country, but often rely on the hash rate contributed by the individual miners living around the world. Moreover, we have VPNs allowing users to mask their IP address, and thank God for that, further obfuscating the true geolocation of the miners. And there you go, crypto bros. What it do? Ended up filing Chapter 11 bankruptcy and all the shenanigans went down. Let me know, and here's the latest with what's going on there. The reorganization plan for the crypto exchange FTX is still going through a bankruptcy proceeding. Doesn't seem like it take forever. It's been going on for years. Took effect January 3rd. Interesting, on the inception of the Genesis block anniversary, and will allow users to begin receiving repayments. In a recent post, FTX debtors said the users requesting funds should be wary of phishing emails designed to look like they were sent from an exchange. Customers need to have filed a claim to the official website to be eligible to receive reimbursement, which FTX said should happen within 60 days for the first group. And according to the FTX plan, an initial group of convenience classes will be the first to receive their repayments, including users claiming $50,000 or less. The plan, approved back in October, stated that 98% of the FTX users can expect to be paid 119% of the declared value of their funds. And I'll break down my synopsis of what that really means when I'm done reading it. Repaying users could be one of the final throes of the FTX saga, beginning with the exchange filing bankruptcy in November of 2022, moving to some executives being sent to prison for their role in defrauding the users. And at this time, Bankman-Fried is serving a 25-year prison sentence, and I'm skeptical he'll remain in prison. I've been calling since before he was even sentenced to prison that the Biden administration would likely pardon him, and now that's actually a legitimate bet over on Polymarket. Can't make this ish up. Let me know if you guys agree, disagree, but anyways, many creditors have criticized the debtor's plan for claimants to receive reimbursement based on the prices of the cryptos the exchange held at the time of the bankruptcy. In 2022, the price of the Bitcoin increased by more than 400% in 2 years. So my understanding is, instead of them paying you back the one Bitcoin hypothetically you had on the exchange, they're giving you the US fiat monopoly dollar equivalent at the time when we were at the bottom of the market in 2022, which is like a spit in the face. Ultimately saying, seriously, because right now, Bitcoin's worth 100,000. At that time, it was like 20,000. Hence, they say 400%, close to 500% increase since that time. So when they say they're paying back 119%, that's just a bunch of smoke and mirrors. People aren't getting even a fraction of what they should be receiving because no one is really being made whole. The only way to be made whole is to receive the exact crypto you had on the exchange, not the fiat equivalent. Who gets the difference? The lawyers, or is it the Department of everyone's getting scammed again. It's crazy. But of the FTX executives indicted amid the exchange collapses, only 2 escaped prison time. How they did that, I have no idea. But Nishad and Gary Wang, apparently. Former FTX CEO Bankman-Fried and Caroline Ellison, and former FTX Digital Markets Ryan Salami were all sentenced to years in prison, though SBS has filed an appeal for his conviction. And like I said, knowing these people, their families, and who they're connected to, and considering that Bankman-Fried was the second largest donor to the Democratic Party, I'm highly skeptical that guy's going to remain in prison. It's like he got a get out of jail free card and can't do no wrong like the rest of the lizard folk. But that's just my 2 Satoshis. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll read your comments out loud. Welcome everyone to the live. What do we discuss next? This $36 trillion debt in the lizard folk, such as Janet Yellen. Here we go. Treasury Secretary, which I thought just resigned. Didn't I read that story a couple of weeks ago? Janet Yellen is urging Congress to act as the debt ceiling deadline approaches. In a letter to the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, Yellen says the government will likely reach its debt limit sometime in January. What do you mean they have a debt limit? Never heard of such thing. Largely because of the obligation related to the Medicare payment. Forcing the government to take extraordinary measures sounds like some shenanigans if you're to ask JV. The Treasury has previously used the term extraordinary measures to refer to suspending investments in certain entitlement programs, pausing sales of government series Treasury securities, and other accounting maneuvers to keep the government a-running. Here's quoting Miss Yellen herself. Treasury currently expects to reach the new limit between the January of the 14th of the 23rd, at which time it'll be necessary for the Treasury to start taking extraordinary measures. I respectfully urge the Congress to act to protect the full faith and credit of the United States. Here's my suggestion to anyone really running Congress. Don't do anything that lizard lady tells you to do, because it probably has awful intentions, because she is a criminal, tax avoidance, all that stuff. And Jamie Dimon knows the details. The U.S. national debt is currently $36 trillion. The government spent nearly $1 trillion simply to service the interest on the debt for the fiscal year of 2024, which ended last year, September 30th, according to the Congressional Budget Office. And in a new interview with the Wall Street Journal CEO Council Summit, Yellen expressed regret about not being able to improve the U.S. fiscal situation. Yeah, you've been destroying the fiscal situation since you've been appointed. Now get out of there and go home and get your shine box along with the Gary Gensler. I thought you were ready to resign. What are you still even doing? Giving Congress advice, lizard folk. Quoting her one more time, and then we'll get rid of her. I am concerned about the fiscal sustainability. I'm sorry we haven't made more progress. I believe that the deficit needs to be brought down, especially now that we're in an environmental higher of an interest rate. For example, over the last year, the interest cost for the debt has increased by several hundred billion. It's one of the largest items responsible for the increase of the budget deficit, and we do need to bring it down. The primary deficit, excluding interest, is now a little over 3%. I believe it needs to come down. Here's one thing I will agree with Ms. Yellen. The debt deficit does need to go down, but I will guarantee you, however she's proposing to take it down is not going to take it down, is only going to make it worse. You want to bring the debt down, sell your gold crap and trade it for Bitcoin. That will bring your debt down, right? But I can guarantee you anything she's proposing is only going to make it worse and cause more inflation and make more people poor, because she works for the dark forces of evil and doesn't have a good cell in her body of God, right? She's been infiltrated by the dark forces. And I'll leave it at that. She gets me wild up. I can't look at these people any longer and, be silent. We've had enough damage from her. Get rid of her. Stat Trump. Amen, JV. Thank you, Rock Mama. Next story of the day. Here's the latest with MicroStrategy, and then we'll discuss the $1 million catalyst, which will realistically send Bitcoin to $1 million in 2025, and the only catalyst according to the analysts. And but here's the first headlines from Saylor. MicroStrategy Saylor posted Bitcoin tracker hinting at a Monday purchase. And as pointed out here from Bitcoin Magazine, for the 9th week in a row, Saylor posts a Saylor Bitcoin tracker. MicroStrategy always buys more Bitcoin the next day. So there's a precursor or foreshadowing, which ultimately is Michael Saylor flexing, announcing before he makes the announcement that he's about to make the announcement. So more than likely tomorrow is going to be announcement. In my opinion, it's probably going to be, we just purchased another $2 billion worth of Bitcoin. If not exactly $2 billion, it will still be a significant purchase nonetheless. We don't know the exact amount. Just in the year 2024, Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy purchased over 200 Bitcoin. Freaking BlackRock purchased over 500,000 Bitcoin. Just between the two of them, it's over 700,000 of the bitty. Mind-boggling. But here's the latest. MicroStrategy co-founder Mikey Saylor posted a Bitcoin chart from the Saylor Tracker website Jan 5th. The same chart Saylor typically posts on Sunday before purchasing Bitcoin on the following day. And to fix the correction of the article, announced the purchasing of the Bitcoin, which means he's probably been purchasing it all week, and tomorrow he makes the big announcement. Quoting them here, something about the Saylor Tracker is not quite right, the tech founder wrote, hinting at an impending Bitcoin acquisition on the Monday. Saylor posted the same chart a week ago, December 29th. MicroStrategy purchased 2,100 Bitcoin at an average purchase price of $97,000 per coin. December 30th, the company is eyeing more purchases, a part of the 2121 plan to finance the acquisition of the $42 billion of Bitcoin by issuing the $21 billion in equity and $21 billion in fixed income securities. Now, MicroStrategy entered the NASDAQ 100, a weighted stock market index of the 100 largest companies of the NASDAQ, exchanged by the market cap, and that was December 23rd, more recently. And MicroStrategy's addition to the index gives traditional stock investors holding the instrument through the ETFs indirect exposure to the IBITI. And following the inclusion of the company into the NASDAQ 100, MicroStrategy called a special shareholder meeting to increase the amount of shares to finance the purchase of the Bitcoin for the corporate treasury strategy. And they were the first publicly traded company to put the Bitcoin on the balance sheet to begin with back in 2020. And according to the December 23rd filing with the SEC, MicroStrategy asked the shareholders to approve an increase of the Class A common stock from 330 million shares to 10.3 billion shares. The company also asked shareholders to increase the authorized shares of preferred stock from 5 million shares to over 1 billion shares. And on Jan 4th, MicroStrategy announced it was seeking a $2 billion raise through a perpetual preferred stock offering. That's why I assume he's going to announce a $2 billion buy tomorrow. We shall soon see. The perpetual preferred offering will be senior Class A common stock in case of a bankruptcy, and it will take priority over the equity hodlers during the financial distributions and a corporate liquidation. The proposed raise is separate from the company's core 2121 plan to finance the purchase of the BITI and is expected sometime in Q1. I guess they mean 2025. Another error, Cointelegraph. I got to hold you accountable. But there you have it, yo. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think Michael Saylor will make yet another massive announcement tomorrow, purchasing potentially a couple of $1 billion worth of thy bitty? Holler at your boy and read your comments out loud. Now for our feature story of the day, fam. The price of one Bitcoin hitting $1 million per coin in 2025 is absolutely possible under this one circumstance, according to this Bitcoin influencer. So let's break this story down for you, shall we? So yeah, Trump's idea to add Bitcoin to the U.S. National Reserve is unlikely or even crazy, at least next year, which is now this year, according to experts, including the Bitwise management company, U.S. Federal Reserve Chief Jerome Powell, Lawrence Summers, who served as U.S. Treasury Secretary in 1999-2001. Now here's the guy we're talking about. Bitwise's IT director, Jeff Park, estimated the likelihood of such a plan happening at less than 10%. I want to know if you agree, disagree. My personal thoughts, I'm more optimistic. I think 40% chance, right? I got 40% hope that we can achieve that. Meaning, I don't think it's the most likely scenario, but it's a very strong possibility. Not the most probable, but absolutely possible. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Now, Powell, as well as Summers, did not support the idea at all. Not surprised. Even those who are generally positive about the incoming administration point to the legislative regulatory obstacles to adopting such drastic changes to the state reserve. We all know Jay Powell is in bed with the dollar. He serves lizard folk who work for the dollar and the money printers, and his only job is to pretend the U.S. dollar is strong. We understand. However, Park believes the success of the BITI adoption in the U.S. could push the price of the major crypto to $1 million per coin, or even higher, as he says here. The idea of the Federal Strategic Bitcoin Reserve in 2025 is an event with a less than 10% probability of happening. This is the only reason Bitcoin can reach 1 million or higher in 2025. However, even if the Trump plan doesn't materialize, demand for the BITI from traditional companies is expected this year. The reason for the development, such as the trend, may may be the success of MicroStrategy and the number of the other companies whose shares rose in value after the adoption of a strategy to create the Bitcoin reserve. This opinion was expressed to the block by Jake Ostrovskis, a representative of Wintermute, one of the largest market makers for the crypto sphere. The basic idea behind buying the Bitty to boost the corporate balance sheet is that it can improve the company's balance sheet while boosting the stock price. This strategy was started by the MicroStrategy chairman and the one and only Mikey Saylor. And as Bitcoin accumulated since September of 2020, MicroStrategy shares have risen more than 2,000%. That's a 20x, baby. Reaching an all-time high of 543 bones in late November. The previous price peak was $333, recorded in January of 2000. According to data from the TradingView platform as of December 27, MicroStrategy clocked in at 341 bones, baby. And if you don't know, bones is just slang for dollars. I think this will be a pretty strong driver next year, said the expert. I would say Saylor's success makes this strategy more palatable to the other public companies, and I suspect there will be a lot more of them in the near future. Two prime digital asset CEOs, Alexander Blum, told The Block, once upon a time, buying Bitcoin for balance was a reality, only for the crypto natives. Now it's becoming mainstream. Amid the promising post-election prospects, expect more and more publicly traded companies to spend their surplus monies looking at Bitcoin as a reserve asset. Let me know if you agree or disagree. And in addition to the continuing trend of buying the Bitty for the balance sheet, he also predicted that some companies may start using Ether as an investment vehicle, as he says here. It's probably a matter of time before someone does the same with Ether. I'm a little skeptical there, but hey, that's just me. For example, Bitwise, Bitcoin management company, has applied for a new ETF, the Bitwise Bitcoin Standard Corporations ETF, which will only buy shares of companies that will add the Bitty to the balance sheet. Another bid for the related fund to MicroStrategy has been submitted by Strive, a management company co-founded by Ramek Ramsawamy. He is expected to co-head the Doge alongside Tesla chief car maker Elon. The fund, called the Strive, the Bitcoin ETF, unlike Bitwise, does not target the purchase of the company's stock, but only debt securities that are issued by companies for the Bitcoin future purchases. MicroStrategy has been issuing such debt and plans to do so in the future. Its experience has been adopted by the largest U.S. mining company, Marathon. For example, November, Marathon issued bonds totaling $700 million with maturity until 2030, part of the raised funds they used to buy the Bitty. However, this had no effect on the Marathon prices. In 2024, the company's share price fell about 18%. And we have other companies doing the Saylor put, such as the Japanese company, Metaplanet, and other companies are following in the footsteps of adopting Bitcoin for the Treasury. 2025 is the year of the Bitcoin for the Treasury. The Treasury, the United States, Bitcoin, Reserve, and the other countries are going to follow because they all follow the leader. And the leader is the free world. It's the United States of America. But who has the first mover's advantage? Bitcoin country, Mr. Bukele, the first one to adopt Bitcoin as a legal tender all the way back in 2021, front running the rest of the masses. But hey, there you have it. There's the latest and greatest. Let me know if you have any insights there. What are your thoughts on the probability of Bitcoin hitting $1 million in 2025? I shared my personal thoughts, my bull scenarios, 1.1 million, and throwing a random number, I'd say 40% chance Trump follows through with the promises. I like the team behind him. I like they're all pro-crypto, but I also understand there's dark forces controlling the money printer, which have a lot of power, and that the things Trump want to do, he may not be able to do. You just never know. So I am also low-key skeptical, but I'm still bullish to the fact, even if things don't go according to plan, even if the forces of evil end up winning when it comes to, Bitcoin laws and shit like that, and stockpiling the Bitty for the country, I can still see a modest 4x for this cycle. 420. Am I base for the bros? Of course I'm base for the broskies. And we'll leave it at that.